Today's webinar will be about what is new in AWS. AWS is constantly innovating. They constantly keep adding services and they constantly keep adding more and more features. This happens at a very rapid rate. And when it comes to times like the reInvent conference at the end of the year, a lot more get announced. So this is a small effort to collate some of the announcements that have happened in the recent past, and I've just taken those which would affect a lot more people. That is, I've not taken up some specialized areas like transcoders, where after Amazon bought Elemental, they have introduced a lot of new products and services there. So I've not taken those kind of things. I've more gone with the standard compute, storage, databases, networking, and the Docker-based features that Amazon has introduced. So this webinar is going to be about all these services that have seen something new come up, or in these areas, the new services that have come up. So let me start by sharing my screen, and let me start by sharing my screen. And this, I will bring up the PPT. Here you go. So we are going to see what is new in AWS. Here we start with the compute part. The compute part has multiple things that's happening. The first thing that has happened, of course, some time back, it's not just now, but some time back, the compute part went into a per second billing. The earlier billing, as you would know, was more in per hour billing. We got billed on an hourly basis, in the sense that the basic unit of time for billing was 1 hour. So if you used a system, a EC2 instance, for 3 hours 10 minutes, you were billed for 4 hours. But now all that is gone. You are going to be billed on a per second basis. So if you use it for 3 hours 10 minutes and 28 seconds, that's exactly the total time that you will be billed. Of course, you have to understand, this is only with respect to the on-demand and spot pricing. The reserved pricing will still remain a monthly pricing. So you need to pay per month as far as reserved instances go. The second thing that they did is they made buying spot instances easy. Earlier, you had to put up a bid price. Basically, you have to understand how the price of the spot instances varied over a month. You have to find out at what times they were low, and accordingly you have to adjust your bid price so that you could get some spot instances. Now they allow you to just bid for a spot instance, and if the spot instance is available, they give it to you. Basically, it means that you don't need to put up a bid price if you don't want. You can always set a maximum price and say that I don't want my spot instance to cross this price, in which case they will take away the spot instance from you if it crosses that price. But otherwise, you can just now go buy a spot instance without putting up a price. So whenever a spot instance is available, it will be given to you. If you don't put a maximum price, the price will keep fluctuating on an hourly basis. and you will be billed by the hour as per the spot price. Another important thing that they have introduced is that you can hibernate your spot instance. In other words, you can stop your spot instances. The earlier case, that is when we were talking about spot instances earlier, whenever the spot price went above the bid price, your systems were terminated. Later, they stopped your systems instead of termination. Now they allow you to hibernate. Basically, it means that if you lose a spot instance now, and if your instance is based on EBS, you will not be terminated, or you will be stopped at that point in time. And then when the spot instance comes up again for you, you can ask them to start the same instance. So as AWS says in its write-up, it's like closing your laptop lid for some time and then opening it again. So you can hibernate your spot instances. And now through CloudWatch, they give you a 2-minute spot warning. Earlier, you used to write some programs to look at the metadata and get that warning. Now the CloudWatch gives you this warning. So within those 2 minutes, you can back up whatever you need to, or you can terminate it in a very correct way, in a graceful way. So that is another important aspect that has come in now as far as the compute part goes. Amazon has also now previewed the bare metal offering. Now, as you know, till now, whatever Amazon has been offering, whether it be a on-demand instance, whether it be a dedicated instance or a dedicated host, you are always getting a virtual machine or you are getting a hypervisor. You never had control over the hardware. Now, bare metal gives you that control. This is like you being given a complete box and you are going to take full control of the box. You can put in any operating system that you want. You can put in a hypervisor on that if you want. It's up to you what you want to do with the bare metal. So the bare metal is in a previous stage. Of course, it will become widespread and general availability quite soon, I guess. Then they've also introduced a new thing which is called as T2 Unlimited. If you look at the T2 instances, and I'm sure most of you have worked on the T2 instance because if you're working in the free tier, you get a T2 micro. So most of us would have worked on T2 micro. Now T2 micro and other T2 instances are called as bustable instances. Basically, it means that they have a baseline performance that is given. Beyond that, if you need a performance beyond that, they can burst for a short period of time. How much can they burst, when they will be throttled and all, is taken care by the CPU credits that you get. So it depends on how long you're working lesser than the baseline. So you get certain credits, and then based on how many credits you have, it will allow you to burst for a certain period of time. Now, what they have done is they have told users, if you want unlimited bursting, that is, there is a baseline performance, but you feel in your particular application at certain point in time, you will need lot of compute power. Then you can take a T2 Unlimited instance. So what T2 Unlimited instance does is it gives a baseline performance as usual, and suddenly if you burst beyond that baseline performance, it allows you to continue at a higher performance level for as long as you want. The billing is done this way. That is, if you are within the baseline performance, that is, you have been using this and you're always within that baseline performance, you will be charged the normal T2 rate. And if you go above the baseline performance, then you are charged something extra, a flat fee. I think it's about 5 cents per hour extra if you go beyond the baseline performance. So that way, if you believe your application sometimes would need a lot more burst than what is currently given to you in the normal T2 instance, you can take up T2 unlimited instance. So those are some of the things that have happened newly in the compute area. Other thing that has happened now is in the auto scaling area. In auto scaling, we were earlier having, and we even now have this, is that we have auto scaling in different services. You can auto scale your EC2 instances. You can auto scale your ECS tasks. You have auto scaling in DynamoDB where the read and write capacity can be adjusted automatically. You can auto scale your squad fleets and so on. So each was done in its own service. So if you wanted an EC2 auto scaling, you went to auto scaling in EC2 and did that. And if you wanted an auto scaling of your DynamoDB database, then you went to DynamoDB and set up the auto scaling. What Amazon has done now is that it has consolidated all of this and has said that you can do what is called as AWS auto scaling. Basically, it is telling you that instead of having to worry about auto scaling in bits and pieces, have a look at your application. What does your application need? Does your application need EC2 scaling? Does your application need spot scaling? Does your application need DynamoDB scaling? Does it need ECS based task scaling? What does your application need? So let's assume you are writing an application where you want to scale on your EC2 instances on the web front end, and on the back end, you don't know how many writes would go to a DynamoDB and what sort of scaling is required. So you would want to choose an auto scaling. So now your application needs two layers of scaling. One is your EC2 has to scale, and the other is your DynamoDB has to scale with respect to the read-write capacity and all that. So instead of putting these two at two different places, at first you go to EC2, set up the auto scaling, and then come to DynamoDB, set up the auto scaling, they have consolidated that and given it one place. So if your application needs these two at one single place, you can specify both the scaling of EC2 instances and the scaling of your DynamoDB. Now that will ensure that you are able to look at your application in a holistic manner and get things done. The next thing is about databases. Now, in case of databases, first thing is that Amazon now allows you having multi-availability zone for read replicas. Remember, whenever you do a multi-availability zone, you are having an high availability solution which is over two zones. So you have a zone A and zone B, and in this two zones you have a high availability solution. Whereas in case of read replica, you can replicate your database as a read replica across regions. So you can have a read replica happening in another region, from one region to another. And that read replica, you can put it into a multi-availability zone mode. So currently, I mean, before this, we didn't have that option, but now we have the option. So it could be for various reasons. For example, you have the replica in another region and you have a multi-AC in another region. It could be good for disaster recovery. So if this region for some reason is not reachable, you can always promote the read replica to become the primary database, and the primary database will automatically be protected because it's in a multi-AZ environment there. That's the first thing that I want to tell you about the databases. The second thing is that we have autoscaling on DynamoDB. I spoke about that briefly earlier. So that the read-write capacities on the DynamoDB can be adjusted based on the incoming traffic. How many writes you are getting, how many reads you are getting, it can adjust itself. The next thing on DynamoDB is that they now allow you to backup and restore DynamoDB databases. Earlier, we didn't have this option, but DynamoDB was highly available. And if you wanted to backup, you probably had to write your own program to ensure you backed up. Now, for the case of disaster recovery, for the case of compliance, or any of this, you can use the backup and restore feature that they have introduced for DynamoDB. And in DynamoDB, they now provide for what is known as a global tables. What does that mean? You have multi-master table, that is, you in different regions, you have the same tables working. So you can write to the DynamoDB on any of the regions and they will be automatically synchronized. So that this gives you much better performance. And this also ensures that you are protected in case of a failure in one region. The other side can still be accessing the DynamoDB there because the tables are now spread globally. A similar concept now exists for Aurora. Aurora can also be set up in this multi-master mode across regions. So that also exists. Added to this, one of the exciting things as far as database goes is the NoSQL database, a graph database, has been introduced by Amazon. It's called Amazon Neptune. So when I spoke about the NoSQL databases in an earlier webinar, I had spoken about graph databases where the graph data is based on relationships. So this database is such a database where there are a lot of relationships going on. Then this database can be used and queried based on some of the standard graph database querying techniques to get the relationships and get very fast response. Next, I come to storage. In storage, you all know about the Elastic File System, which provides a file interface where you have unlimited space available for you, and you can attach this file system to any of your Linux server. Now they have allowed you to sync files from your on-prem systems to the EFS so that you can do data transfer to the EFS server fast. They've also introduced a better IOPS limit for the provisioned IOPS storage. Earlier, the provisioned IOPS storage would give you 20,000 IOPS as a limit per EBS volume. Now they have raised the limit to 32,000 IOPS. Obviously, this is much better now, and you could use this to achieve better efficiency. They also previewed this S3 Select. S3 Select basically allows you to query data within your S3 object and get only a part of the data from an S3 object and not the complete data. This helps you in two ways. One, that the amount of data being lesser, you get it faster. Second, the amount of data being lesser, you also get it cheaper because the network out now is much lesser. So that way, S3 Select will help you in both achieving a good efficiency and achieving a cost efficiency. Both performance efficiency and cost efficiency will be achieved by S3 Select. The other things that I would want to talk about, classified them together, a server migration, a Lambda, and a Cloud ID. In server migration, Amazon earlier used to support migrating only the VMware based VMs to AWS. So you had tools provided by Amazon which would migrate your VMware VMs to AWS. Now they have introduced tools which will allow you to migrate your Hyper-V VMs to AWS. That's about the migration part. Then we come to the Lambda part. Lambda, as you know, earlier used to support Python, supports Java, it supports C Sharp and Node.js. Now they have introduced support for Go programming language. Lambda is a very important service, especially in the serverless side. And the more programs or programming language they support, the better it is going to be. So the support for Go is in the right direction here. You'll also see that the look and feel of Lambda has completely changed. What it was earlier to what it is now, there's a lot of change, the look and feel of it. So initially you may find it a bit difficult, but once you start using it, you will get used to the new look and feel and find that effective. Another thing that's been newly introduced by Amazon is an IDE called as Cloud9 IDE. This is an IDE which is available on the cloud and it is free of cost. So you can log in into Cloud IDE. You can write your programs there. It could be in Java, it could be in Python, it could be in PHP, and then you do everything that you do with an IDE. And that Cloud9 used to be a company earlier, which AWS I think bought on later. Then we come to networking. In case of networking, we see that Amazon has now introduced something called as VPC peering across regions. Earlier, when we had multiple VPCs, we could peer these VPCs if they met two conditions. The first condition was that they should be present in the same region. The second condition was that there should be no overlapping IPs between the peering VPCs. The second condition still remains, that is, you cannot have overlapping IPs between peering VPCs. But the first condition is gone. That means that now you can peer a VPC, one which is in the, say, Oregon region, with another one which is in Frankfurt. So you can peer across region, and then once peered, they will communicate as if they are in a local network. This is an important functionality, and it's bound to help you if you have your VPCs located in multiple regions. So you can always think of a use case where very important documents are kept in a central region and not those servers are not allowed outside of your region. So people can then peer in from different regions and download the documents, download any of the artifacts that are present there. Now we also have Bangalore here, those who are from Bangalore, as one of the direct connect centers. So you can connect to the center in Bangalore, and from Bangalore, you will be connected into the Amazon network so that you have a direct connect to Amazon. Then we come to containers. This is where we see a lot of activity across the globe, a lot of people working on it. The first thing that we want to see here is a service called Amazon Fargate. Amazon Fargate is a service wherein you can run your containers without provisioning any EC2 servers. The provisioning is automatically done by Amazon. That is, you can run your Docker containers without worrying about the underlying hardware, and you can run thousands of containers. Now these containers, when you run more than one or you run a cluster of containers, you require some orchestration software which will control them, which will do service discovery, and which will do load balancing, auto scaling, and other things within these containers using these containers. For that, there are different softwares. One of the ones was ECS of Amazon. We also have Docker Swarm, but the one which is becoming more popular is Kubernetes. And Amazon now supports Kubernetes. So you can have your Docker containers running under the control of Kubernetes. Then Kubernetes can become the orchestration software within the Amazon infrastructure. This again is something in the right direction because we see lots and lots of people moving to Kubernetes and using Kubernetes to ensure that they are able to deal with a large number of Docker containers. And so having Kubernetes here is definitely going to help Amazon as well as help users who use Amazon. So that brings us to an end of what I wanted to say about the new things that have come up in Amazon. There are certain more new things that have come up, like as I said, in transcoding and machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on. But since they are very, very specific subjects, I haven't taken them up. But yes, you can look up the transcoding and you'll see that a lot of things have come up in transcoding, basically because we have seen a lot of effort put in by Amazon for into the elemental acquisition that they did. As I said, that sort of covers what I wanted to say. I also wanted to share with you that CloudSiksha Academy now has 2 courses in Udemy. The cloud computing technical basics. That has been a major draw, and we probably now have more than 7,000, 7,500 people registered for it going in. And very, very recently, we have got the AWS Solution Architect Associate program also onto Udemy. And you will find that the costs are fairly competitive, and you definitely be worth your while looking up these courses. Of course, you can also get to academy.cloudsiksha.com and you will find those courses there as well. So these links are there in the description of the YouTube, and you can click on that link to buy the courses if you are interested in it. And as you know, we regularly conduct cloud-based courses, and in our academy, we put up the monthly calendar. So you can check the description for the link to the monthly calendar. And if you need anything, you want to inquire about anything, you can always send us a mail at inquiry@cloudsiksha.com. So let me once again thank all of you for attending this. And for those who are not able to attend, we will obviously be putting this up on our channel. So I suggest that you go and subscribe to our channel so that whenever there is a new video that comes up, you will get intimated. And as I said earlier, our idea is to make this webinar a weekly series as much as possible. Of course, sometimes due to things beyond our control, it may not happen, but the overall idea is to discuss various topics related to cloud and DevOps every week. So thank you all once again, and I'm sure you will want to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.